Chapter 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In February, the harsh winter has passed, the earth is full of spring, and the whole Konoha village is thriving. In a Japanese-style wooden house, a 5- or 6-year-old child looked at the scroll in his hand listlessly. When you get closer, although the child is still young, his facial features are neat and delicate, and his tender face shows that he will be a handsome guy second only to the readers in the future. Uchiha Xingliu stood up, put down the scroll, yawned, and stretched, bored. He walked slowly to the window, looked at the Hokage rock in the distance, sighed, and said to himself, "Although I like Naruto very much, you can't let me come here to experience it in person." That's right, Uchiha Xingliu is not a native of the Naruto world, he comes from China in the 21st century, he just graduated from college and became a member of the 996 blessing. When he was tired from work, he would watch Naruto to relax himself. For him, Naruto could be said to be a companion who had grown up with him since childhood. Although he had watched it many times, he still loved it. During an overtime work, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his heart, and he lost consciousness in the next moment. When he opened his eyes again, he had come to the world of Naruto and became a 5- or 6-year-old child. Fortunately, after crossing over, he integrated the memory of this body, which made him know his current situation. Needless to say, the name Uchiha definitely means that he crossed over to Konoha. This is good news for him, because he crossed over to Konoha. He knows more than other places, although from his memory, the plot has not started yet, but he knows the personalities of various characters, which can make him make friends with people who will shine in the future, and at least he can get familiar with them. And now is the end of the First Ninja World War, and he, who is 5 or 6 years old, has undoubtedly escaped. But the end of World War I also meant the death of Senju Tobirama and the rise of the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. This Hokage and his high-ranking officials were not friendly to Uchiha, and to make matters worse, the parents of this body died in the end of the war. After the original owner learned the news, he was so sad that he died, which benefited the Xingliu who came through. After Uchiha Xingliu figured out his identity and the year of his location, he handled the funeral of the original owner's parents, which was also a repayment for occupying the original owner's body. After dealing with all this, for his future safety and food problems, Uchiha Xingliu began to tidy up the house and began to collect ninjutsu scrolls and money. Although Konoha would regularly pay pensions to solve his daily expenses, but the training of ninjas also requires auxiliary props and some medicinal materials, which all require money to buy. The future of the ninja world is not peaceful. Not to mention the Night of Extermination, which happened decades later. The Second and Third World Wars were only 10 years apart. If he doesn't want to become cannon fodder on the battlefield and wants to survive, he needs to keep getting stronger. This is back to the original problem. To become stronger, you need to train, and training requires money, so he immediately started to clean up the house, hoping that the original owner's Chunin parents would leave enough resources. After searching for a few days, he found millions of taels, which was enough for him to practice for several years, but he only found 3 scrolls of ninjutsu, and all 3 were fire escapes, including the kind ninjutsu that can't kill people, such as the Great Fireball. The danger of the Naruto world is self-evident. Although the money is enough for the time being, the gains of ninjutsu are few, which makes his original lazy character prevail. Standing by the window, Uchiha Xingliu looked at the Hokage rock and the bustling village in the distance. The statue of the third Hokage has been carved. I don't know if I will become the butterfly that flaps its wings and change the plot. Just when Uchiha Xingliu didn't know what his future would be like, a cold machine sound suddenly flooded into his mind. Ding, the host has been alive for 3 days, the system is binding. 10%. 30%. 70%. 100%, binding is successful, data is generated successfully. Do you want to check it? The sudden voice made Uchiha Xingliu stunned for a moment, and then he showed a happy expression. The time traveler and the system are indeed standard. Isn't the system here? Thinking of this, Uchiha Xingliu couldn't wait to study the functions of the system. He remembered the previous prompts of the system, and silently opened his data panel. Host, Uchiha Xingliu. Skills, 1 Magatama Sharingan, green. Uchiha Constitution, green. Cooking, white. Hang-up bar, empty. Combat power, 3. A scum whose combat power is not even 5. The sharp complaints of the system made him a little silent, but the skill of the one Magatama Sharingan surprised him a little, but then he realized that this might be the original owner who opened it unconsciously after learning the news of his parents' death. The original owner opened the Sharingan in grief, and was already in grief. He didn't take his last breath, which led to his death, but this was a bargain for him. After figuring this out, he continued to check the functions of the system. Soon, he understood the functions of the system. The full name of the system is hang-up system, and its main function is also very simple: put the skills that need to be hung up in the hang-up bar provided by the system, and the skills will automatically upgrade over time, according to the regulations of the system. Skills are divided into white, green, blue, purple, orange, gold, and color levels, and each level has 10 levels. After hanging up 10 levels, hanging up one level will make the skill break through the current level. There is no limit to the breakthrough of skills. Even cooking skills can be upgraded to the colorful level as long as there is enough time. The current system only provides 2 hang-up bars, and the hang-up bars will increase with the improvement of the host's ability, and the hang-up speed is proportional to the host's combat power. In short, the stronger the host, the faster the hang-up rate will be. But it should be noted that the system does not provide automatic learning function, and all skills need to be learned or created by the host. After understanding the functions of the system, Uchiha Xingliu did not think much, and immediately put the Sharingan and Uchiha physique in the hang-up bar. The system did not disappoint him. Not long after the skills were put on the hang-up bar, he felt that every part of his body was warm, and there was a cool breath flowing in his eyes. This made him guess that the system's hang-up would not only not have various side effects such as soreness after exercise, but would be extremely comfortable. Chapter 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Compared to the systems in the time travel novels that Uchiha Xingliu had read, the system that does not require anything but consumes the idle bar makes him extremely satisfied. Now you only need to know the idle rate of the system to thoroughly understand the system. The initial version of the system only has 2 idle bars, so it needs more reasonable arrangements. Moreover, some skills may have a very low initial level, but no one can tell the potential they contain. Cooking skills fill him with imagination. Cooking ingredients is cooking, and cooking rules are also cooking. It is possible that the white-level cooking skill will become a bug-level ability after the system's transformation, but compared to the 2 skills that can stably increase combat power, Sharingan and Uchiha bloodline, cooking skills are not stable enough, and it cannot be 100% confirmed that they will be bug abilities in a later stage. Moreover, the time required for this skill to play its advantages may lead to a slow speed of strengthening, and it cannot play the greatest advantage of the system. After thinking about these, Uchiha Xingliu no longer struggled and decided to upgrade the levels of Sharingan and bloodline first. After dealing with the system, Uchiha Xingliu walked out of the room with the money, ready to go out for a walk and solve the problem of eating. When he first came here, he was in no mood to go shopping because of his parents' funeral and anxiety about the future. Now the arrival of the system not only relieved his inner anxiety, but also gave him the confidence to face the future. Moreover, he has been here for quite a few days. The things he loved in his previous life really appeared in front of him. It would be a pity not to take a good look. With mixed feelings, Uchiha Xingliu walked slowly to the street. The scene that came into his eyes made him quite disappointed, but the familiar scenery made him dazzled for a while. Although the overall layout is very similar to what he saw in the anime, it is more dilapidated. Now is the end of World War I. Although the war is about to end, the dead will never come back. In this case, there are not many people on this street, and the only familiar store is the later barbecue queue, and the famous Ichiraka ramen is nowhere to be seen. Business in various snack bars is not very good, which also shows that the current situation of Konoha is not very good, compared with the prosperity of later generations. Konoha is now in ruins. Uchiha Xingliu walked on the dilapidated road, and the Uchiha clan emblem on his body made people frown slightly. This situation made him sigh that the reputation of Uchiha was not very good so early today, which must be related to the policy of the second-generation Hokage. The Uchiha clan is a clan of love and a clan of paranoia. As long as they lose love, they can open the Sharingan according to their talents. The most talented people can even open the Mangekyo Sharingan, but at the moment of opening, the opener will fall into his own world, the most representative of which are Uchiha Obito and Uchiha Itachi. After witnessing Lin's death, Uchiha Obito was so paranoid that he believed that the infinite moon reading could bring happiness to people, and he didn't care about killing his master's wife, after experiencing war and brainwashing. Uchiha Itachi finally witnessed the death of Shisui, which made him paranoid that the Uchiha clan would cause irreversible consequences and be exterminated. In order to prevent this situation, Senju Tobirama set up a guard team. On the one hand, it allows the Uchiha clan to live a stable life, reduce fighting to reduce the Uchiha's fighting will, and reduce the number of people who open their eyes. On the other hand, it is also understood that the paranoid character of the Uchiha people will make them ruthless law enforcers, which will cause reputational damage. Although there are big loopholes in the saying that you can become a Hokage only if you get the recognition of everyone, it is not without reason. The Uchiha has a bad reputation. Without the support of the grassroots, naturally there will be no real Hokage. It must be said that Senju Tobirama's strategy is superb, but only the Uchiha is so stubborn. If the Uchiha can restrain their paranoid character, they can use the guard team to build a good reputation. Even if there is still no Uchiha Hokage, they can still occupy a place in the upper echelons, being calculated without knowing it, seeing their own limitations but not repenting. Although the Uchiha clan is blessed by nature, most of the clan members are immersed in the glory of the clan and are self-satisfied. Aren't they another kind of bird in a cage? After a round of strolling, Uchiha Xingliu stopped. The strange eyes of the villagers made him lose the motivation to continue strolling, so he turned and walked towards Barbecue Q. This barbecue restaurant opened by Akimichi is also a famous dining place in Naruto. Sarutobi Asuma likes to bring Shikamaru and others to dine here, and Akimichi's family who likes to eat can also be regarded as a sign for this barbecue restaurant. As soon as he walked inside the store, a scent of meat floated into Uchiha Xingliu's nose, which whetted his appetite as he hadn't eaten well for a while. The store was different from the deserted streets, and many people in ninja costumes were having a lively dinner together. At first glance, only a little loli with golden hair looked familiar. Uchiha Xingliu narrowed his eyes and walked to a nearby seat and sat down. After ordering the dishes, he pretended to look at this familiar figure casually. "Mom and Dad, are you leaving so soon? Isn't the war over?" Hearing this, the two adults smiled helplessly and answered the question of the little blonde girl with a doting voice. "Little Tsunade, Mom and Dad are from the Senju clan, and we have to set an example." Before she finished speaking, she saw Tsunade with tears in her eyes and said aggrievedly, "No, I don't want it." Second Grandpa said the same thing before, "He is a liar. He is not coming back, I hate you." After that, Tsunade ran out crying, and this sudden scene caught Tsunade's parents off guard, but the ninja's qualities allowed them to quickly catch up with Tsunade. The man was about to hug Tsunade, but was stopped by the woman. "Let little Tsunade vent, Uncle Tobirama's death made her very sad, we just follow behind." Tsunade's father thought it made sense, nodded, and followed Tsunade silently, looking at Tsunade running and crying. The two of them had red eyes. Sometimes adults always have to be stronger, otherwise who can children rely on? After listening to their conversation, Uchiha Xingliu also confirmed that this was Tsunade when she was a child. What he didn't expect was that Tsunade had not been very strong since she was a child. Maybe something unacceptable happened later, which made her put on a protective color. Tsunade's previous carefree and extremely irritable personality was just a disguise. In the end, the death of her lover and brother tore through the last layer of defense in her heart, causing a medical ninja to suffer from hemophobia. This has to be said to be an irony. Chapter 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tsunade is now just a stranger to Uchiha Xingliu, and there is no relationship at all. Although he liked this character very much in his previous life, he still had to distinguish between reality and virtuality. As the granddaughter of the first and second generations, Tsunade can be said to be the second generation of fire. If he contacts her rashly, he will get into trouble. Thinking of this, he shook his head and stopped thinking about it. During this time, the waiter had already served the dishes he ordered. Looking at the barbecue on the table, Uchiha Xingliu began to eat. From the beginning, he felt that his body was sending signals to crave for food, so he ordered a table of food. Uchiha Xingliu guessed that it might be because of the AFK system. Although AFK can improve abilities, energy is still needed. A full table of barbecue was eaten by him at a very fast speed. Uchiha Xingliu could even feel the peristalsis of his stomach and intestines, helping him to quickly digest food and replenish energy. He opened the system panel and took a look. The two skills he had hung up were improving at twice the speed, which also verified his guess. It seems that replenishing energy can also increase the speed of the system hanging up. If you want to maintain a fast hanging up speed in the future, you must replenish energy. However, Uchiha Xingliu was quite satisfied with this. After all, you can't get fat no matter how much you eat, but you can get stronger faster. Where can you find such a good thing? This meal is not only delicious, but also allows him to discover the new capabilities of the system, which makes him very satisfied. Check out. As soon as Uchiha Xingliu's voice fell, the boss handed him the bill in silence. The moment he saw the bill, Uchiha Xingliu's body froze and he wanted to cry. He knew that the barbecue queue would not be cheap because the group of people consuming around him were all ninjas, but he didn't expect it to cost more than 20,000. You should know that the income of an ordinary genin for a D-level mission is only 5,000 to 10,000, and this meal ate up the rewards of 4 D-level missions. However, he looked at the bill carefully and it was not that the boss cheated him. After all, the food he ordered was enough for 4 or 5 people, so although the price was a little expensive, it was barely acceptable. After all, it was just a normal meal, and the price per person was only 4 or 5,000, but it seemed expensive because he ate a lot. However, after paying the bill and leaving the barbecue queue, Uchiha Xingliu decided to cook for himself in the future. If you want to keep the high-speed progress of the idle speed, sufficient food is indispensable. And the monthly pension of his parents added up to only 100,000 taels, which is not enough for him to eat for a week. Even if the millions of taels left by his parents' inheritance are not enough for his annual expenses, it should be noted that most of the forests and rivers around Konoha have owners. They were eaten up by the various families of Konoha, and outsiders were prohibited from picking the products in the forest at will. In the plot, the Nara clan to which Shikamaru belongs has a large forest for breeding medicinal deer. A large part of it has been converted into a training venue, which is open to the ninjas in the village. In the anime, Uzumaki Naruto can go fishing for food, probably with the consent of the 3rd generation. Otherwise, everyone knows that there are fish in the river, and you can get a lot of fish by setting a net, so how can the fish sellers sell it? Of course, the Uchiha also has its own forest, but it was turned into a training ground for the Uchiha by the militant faction in the clan. The animals living in it either died or left, so it is impossible to catch wild game. However, the village did not completely block this road, and it would be open for a period of time every year, but most of the people who take advantage of this are civilians, and few ninjas go there. If Uchiha Xingliu dares to go there for free, he is sure that he will not get a good result from the Uchiha clan. So if you want to get the products around Konoha for free, you can give up this idea. After returning home, Uchiha Xingliu picked up the ninjutsu scrolls scattered on the table and checked them again. These scrolls are 2 C-level ninjutsu, fire style, Great Fireball Technique and Fire Style, Phoenix Fire Technique. There is 1 B-level ninjutsu left, Fire Style, Great Dragon Fire Technique, which is the legacy left by the original parents. These 3 ninjutsu are almost standard for the Uchiha clan. Great Fireball and Phoenix Flower are learned by Genin, and Great Dragon Fire is learned by Chunin. As for why there is no chakra guidance technique, it may be too basic, and it will be taught both in the ninja clan and in the ninja school. For Uchiha Xingliu, the existence of the autoplay system allows him to upgrade his abilities unconditionally, but this ability still requires his own learning or creation. Otherwise the skill will not appear out of thin air, and compared with the ability within the bloodline, this ninjutsu scroll contains the knowledge of ninjutsu. He still doesn't know whether the system upgrade ability only allows him to improve his ability, and whether the accompanying knowledge is also included, improvement. So all this requires him to do experiments well in order to make better use of the system. Just when Uchiha Xingliu was thinking, a larger warm current passed through his body, making him squint his eyes unconsciously and enjoy it. This warm current came and went quickly, but after the warm current disappeared, he could feel that his body seemed to have become stronger. This made him thoughtful, and he opened the system panel casually with some surprise. Host, Uchiha Xingliu, Ability, 1 Magatama Sharingan, Green, LV1, Uchiha bloodline, green, LV2, cooking, white, hang-up bar, 1 Magatama Sharingan, Uchiha bloodline, combat power, 5, a scum with only 5 combat power. Although the system's complaints are still sharp, it can't hit Uchiha Xingliu's happy heart. Just going out for a meal, the skills have been upgraded. Although sufficient nutrition can speed up the improvement of ability, this speed is already very fast. Moreover, the combat power increased from 3 to 5, which seemed to be a small improvement, but if calculated by percentage, it has almost doubled. After being happy for a while, Uchiha Xingliu calmed down. He did not expect the system to be so powerful, although it would be more and more difficult to upgrade the level in the future, but at this rate, he might be invincible before he graduated from the ninja school. The rapid increase in ability also made Uchiha Xingliu ambitious. In his previous life, he lived in that peaceful country and never experienced war. He knew how beautiful peace was, so he also wanted to bring peace to this world that once brought him joy and moved him. Uchiha Xingliu wanted to become a Hokage, truly change this continent, let it operate according to his will, and hang the so-called nobles and daimyo on the tree. Uchiha Xingliu thought about this grand goal in his heart, but the reality was cruel. He lazily turned over on the tatami, scratched his head, sighed, and muttered to himself. It's too tiring to achieve this goal. I don't want to work. 996. Chapter 4. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There are so many things to do to achieve this ideal. 996 may not be enough, 007 is possible. This reminds Uchiha Xingliu of when Uzumaki Naruto was the 7th generation Hokage. He was so busy that he even used the shadow clone. Moreover, if he really achieves this step, he will not only deal with the affairs of Konoha village. Thinking of this, the already lazy Uchiha Xingliu shuddered. He was full of resentment towards 996 in his previous life, and he didn't want to be like this in this life. Is there any way to have the best of both worlds? Thinking about it, Uchiha Xingliu thought of what happened when he had just eaten. A flash of inspiration flashed through his mind. By the way, I can be a hands-off shopkeeper. Uchiha Xingliu wants to be a Hokage, but doesn't want to be tired, so he can only leave the work to others. For example, Tsunade. His first reaction is that Tsunade is the 5th generation Hokage and a capable person, although sometimes unreliable, but generally speaking, it is pretty good. Not to mention that there are people like Orochimaru who can create a sound village on their own in the outside world. Konoha actually has a lot of talents, and each of the 3 ninjas can manage a ninja village. There are also White Fang, the 4th generation Hokage Namake's Minato, Hatake Kakashi, and so on. So after becoming the Hokage, you can leave trivial matters to other people to do, and Uchiha Tsuryu just needs to control the direction and use his strength to back up this goal. Just like when the 1st generation Hokage Senju Hashirama wanted to establish a ninja village, end the warring states period that lasted for thousands of years, and achieve peace in the ninja world, there must be people who opposed this proposal because their interests were damaged. But was it useful? Under the joint efforts of Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama, who in the ninja world at that time dared to say no? Maybe he raised objections on the first day, and committed suicide by being hit by dozens of kunai in the back the next day. There is no need to bother the 2 of them to take action, because his own people will be killed by him. Susanoo Buddha, 2 people destroy Shikoku, is not just a joke. If you really dare to disagree with Senju Hashirama's opinion, aren't you afraid that he will be forced to destroy the rest of the countries and eliminate the opponents, and then establish a ninja village? The 2 strongest people in the world stand together, and all opponents will shut up. What Uchiha Xingliu has to do is to be invincible and fight against the country with 1 person. This is not difficult for him. The existence of the system has reserved the throne of heaven for him. It may only take a few years, or even faster, for the existence of the system to reach a point that no one can reach. Now the important thing is to promote your own ideas and get others' recognition. Otherwise, even if you suppress the world with invincible force, it is meaningless if no one comes to serve you. If you can't pull the 3 ninjas and White Fang into your team, he can't be a hands-off boss. Could it be that Uchiha Xingliu learns from Naruto and uses shadow clones to work overtime? This kind of life is not what he wants. Although this is not difficult for Uchiha Xingliu, things have to be done so that the plan can progress. Thinking of leaving things to White Fang and the 4th generation in the future, while he was idle and talking about love with Tsunade, Uchiha Xingliu sat up straight and worked hard for a better life in the future. Picking up the scroll of the Great Fireball, he read it carefully. At this time, it was already dark. The lights in Uchiha Xingliu's house slowly lit up, telling of his efforts. Time passed quickly. Since the day when Uchiha Xingliu awakened his ambition and decided to become a Hokage, more than half a month has passed. During this time, Uchiha Xingliu never left home except to buy food outside. On the one hand, he is an adult in his heart after all, and he can't play with children at all. On the other hand, there are no entertainment activities in Konoha now. Although there are some modern equipment, it is completely incomparable with the 21st century, and although the war is about to end, the dead are dead after all, and funerals can be seen everywhere. The whole Konoha is now in a sad atmosphere, and some small celebrations on weekdays have been cancelled. These two reasons made Uchiha Xingliu lose interest in going out to play. However, he did not gain nothing during this period. Host, Uchiha Xingliu, abilities, 1 Magatama Sharingan, green, LV8. Uchiha Bloodline, green, LV10, Fire Style. Great Fireball Technique, green, Fire Style. Phoenix Flower Technique, Fire Style. Great Dragon Fire Technique, Cooking, white. Hang Up Column, 1 Magatama Sharingan, Uchiha Bloodline, Combat Power, 15. Don't look at it as it has broken through 2 digits, it's still scum. First of all, the Hang Up 2 abilities, among which the Uchiha Bloodline has been upgraded to LV10, and it can be upgraded to the blue level as long as it breaks through a level. I believe there will be a relatively large improvement at that time. The improvement of this skill not only makes his body stronger and more sensitive, but also improves his talent. The evidence is that Uchiha Xingliu completed the study very quickly, and he learned all 3 ninjutsu scrolls left by his parents within a week. Although these 3 ninjutsu are only roughly proficient and not very powerful when they are performed, this does not prevent them from being used in the future. The improvement of Bloodline also improves his talent, making him more handy in learning ninjutsu. The improvement of talent also improves learning efficiency in disguise, and complements the system. Naruto is also called the Legend of the Eyes and the Affairs of the Otsutsuki family. In this world, the purity of bloodline can really increase the upper limit of a ninja, so the occurrence of this kind of thing made Uchiha Xingliu happy for a while at that time. The improvement of Sharingan is slower than that of bloodline. This may be because the food we usually eat strengthens the body, so the acceleration of the system is given to bloodline, so it is a little slower, but it doesn't matter. This speed is already very fast. In his calculation, according to the current speed, Sharingan may be improved in half a month, but today, Uchiha Xingliu had to step out of his comfort zone and come to Konoha. Recalling what happened this morning, Uchiha Xingliu was still a little complacent. At that time, Uchiha Xingliu was resting, and a knock on the door woke him up. Along with the knock on the door, there was a strange voice, and the owner of the voice sounded like a young man. Is there anyone in the room? I am Uchiha Xien, and there is something in the clan to notify you. Hearing this, Uchiha Xingliu was a little confused. After all, he hasn't been out recently, and the parents of the original body don't have many close friends, so how could someone from the clan come to see him? But he still opened the door. This is the Uchiha clan land. No one would be stupid enough to pretend to be an Uchiha and do bad things here. Chapter 5. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Excuse me, are you Uchiha Surayu? As soon as the door was opened, a young man looked at Uchiha Surayu and asked directly. Uchiha Surayu scratched his head and yawned, looking at the person in front of him in confusion. Is there anything the clan wants to see me about? Uchiha Xien was very polite, completely different from the average Uchiha, and a little familiar. He first indicated that this was not the place to talk, and after Uchiha Surayu made way, he walked into the house, as if he was the owner here. After walking into the house and sitting down, Uchiha Xien spoke. It's like this. In order to respond to the policy of the second generation, the clan decided to let you go to the ninja school. Of course, we won't treat you unfairly. We will increase your clan pension by 100,000 taels per month, and when you graduate, we will give you a B-level ninjutsu. Yes, the current era is different from the future, and ninja schools are not optimistic. In today's era, the ninja clan still follows the old ways, cultivating their own bloodline within the clan. The ninja school founded by the second generation popularized education, broke the monopoly, and gave civilians a chance to change their fate, just like a super school suddenly appeared in reality. But this school is a military school. When there is a war in the future, you will need to participate in the battle. If this opportunity appears in front of you, how will you choose? What's more, if the ninjas can't stand it on the battlefield, these civilians can't protect themselves either, so although many civilian ninjas have no talent, they can only be middle and lower ninjas for life, but for them, this is already a class leap, and they are willing to enter the ninja school to study. Moreover, the people trained in the ninja school will pay more attention to teamwork than those trained by the ninja clan themselves. The teamwork here is not the simple cooperation of a few people, but a larger-scale group operation. If the strength of one person does not crush the rest, the strength of the team will always be greater than that of an individual. The ability of the ninja is indeed suitable for single-person actions, but there are not so many special operations on the battlefield. If the front line can't hold up, the battle line will collapse directly. Do we have to wait for the enemy to hit Konoha before confronting him head-on? So the ninja clan will eventually let their clansmen go to the ninja school to study, and then use their spare time to teach them the secret techniques of their clan. This will achieve twice the result with half the effort and make people grow faster. In order to promote the ninja school system, the second generation even selected several students who graduated from the ninja school as direct descendants. The people who ate the first bite of the cake were the high-level people like Sarutobi Shimura in the future. In the era of Sarutobi Hiruzen, those who entered the ninja school were considered to be labeled as Hokage, so for the future of their own clan, no matter from which aspect, the ninja clan can only go to school obediently. As for what some old antique said, ninja schools are training cannon fodder, which is not wrong. However, once the war comes, the people trained by your ninja clan are also cannon fodder. At that time, can you avoid the war and prevent your clansmen from going to the battlefield? At that time, it is foreseeable that each ninja clan will fight against each other and be defeated one by one. Otherwise, other countries will not follow Konoha's example and establish ninja schools. Of course, they can't see these now. They will only stubbornly believe that ninja schools are not as good as their own, and now, in order not to offend the Hokage, they will naturally respond to the Hokage's policy and arrange for some clan members to enroll. Those who are arranged to join the ninja school are in a state of being half abandoned, so the family will give some compensation. The reason why it is called a state of half abandonment is that if you are not cultivated in the clan, you will naturally not have friendship with your peers. In the future, when these family members grow up, no matter what benefits they have, they will not think of you. So in the current era, entering the ninja school to study can be regarded as a signal that the family does not value it. Most of these arranged clan members are orphans, because orphans have no backing and are easy to bully. In the final analysis, every world is like this, and persimmons will always find soft persimmons to pinch. But entering the ninja school is actually a good thing for Uchiha Xingliu, not to mention the various hidden benefits of entering the ninja school. Uchiha Xingliu is still worried about how to approach the talents in the plan, especially Tsunade. The relationship between Uchiha and Senju is not very good. If he goes to find Tsunade carelessly, he might be hung up and beaten by the Senju clan. The news brought by Uchiha Xien is equivalent to sending a pillow when you are sleepy. After all, according to the information in the anime, it can be confirmed that Tsunade, Orochimaru, and Jiraiya will all enter the ninja school to study. And the Hatake clan where White Fang is not a big clan. According to the calculation, the current Hatake Sakumo should also be studying in the ninja school. For Uchiha Xingliu, joining the ninja school will give him the opportunity to contact these people openly, so he couldn't help but laugh when he heard Uchiha Xien's words. Not only did he provide a plan to implement his plan, but he also gave him generous compensation. The Uchiha clan members who used to dislike him also became kind-hearted at this moment. Resisting his inner joy, Uchiha Xingliu, who wanted to know if he could get some compensation, said a little frustrated, "Is the clan going to give up on me?" Hearing this, Uchiha Xien was a little flustered for a while, and he didn't look arrogant at all like the Uchiha clan. At this time, Uchiha Xingliu was only 6 years old. When a 6-year-old child looked at you pitifully in front of you, not to mention that you knew he had just lost his best family, presumably, anyone with a conscience would feel uneasy, so Uchiha Xien hurriedly explained. "That's not the case. How could the family give up on you? You can come to the family to study after school or on holidays. It won't have a big impact. Of course, this is not what Uchiha Xingliu wants. He looked at Uchiha Xian's panicked expression and decided to perform to the end. After making up his mind, his eyes suddenly turned red. He stood up and looked up at Uchiha Xian and asked pitifully. Really? Then can you give me more compensation? For example, can you give me some medical knowledge? Uchiha Xian was made more panicked by his acting and agreed immediately. Really, I have some basic medical knowledge, I will compensate you personally, but what do you want these for? Uchiha Xian calmed down a little and looked at Uchiha Xingliu with doubts. Uchiha Xingliu not only did not panic when he heard this, but acted even harder. Uncle, I want to be a medical ninja, treat everyone, so that they won't die and can go home to reunite with their families. After saying this, Uchiha Xingliu's slightly red eyes slowly passed through 2 lines of tears, which made Uchiha Xian feel a little distressed. He walked up and touched Uchiha Xingliu's head, and comforted him for a long time before speaking. What a good child, don't worry, I will send you medical knowledge in the evening. Thank you, Uncle. Hearing this, Uchiha Xingliu stopped crying, wiped his eyes, and thanked him with some twitching. The Oscar winner of this acting skill would have to give a thumbs up, saying that this little golden man should be awarded to Uchiha Xingliu. After a long while, seeing that Uchiha Xingliu had recovered, Uchiha Xian stood up and prepared to leave. When he walked to the door, he turned around and looked at Uchiha Xingliu for a while, and didn't say anything else, just nodded to him and left. Uchiha Tsuryu frowned. He felt that Uchiha Xian might have seen something, but he was not sure, but he did not think about it for long. After all, it was not too much to ask for medical knowledge, even if his acting skills were seen through. At most Uchiha Xian would just hate him. However, Uchiha Tsuryu felt that Uchiha Xian, who did not appear in the original plot and had a different way of doing things and personality, would be helpful to his future plans. Chapter 6. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As for what the medical knowledge is for, it is naturally for future plans. It is very appropriate to use medical knowledge as an excuse to get close to Tsunade, and if you get close to Tsunade, you will naturally get close to Jiraiya and Orochimaru. What Uchiha Xingliu said to Uchiha Xian just now was not a lie. He made himself a very talented medical ninja in the early stage. Doing so will not only avoid unnecessary fights and reduce troubles, but also make the 3rd generation and other senior officials relax their vigilance. An Uchiha with only medical talent will naturally be more reliable to use than an Uchiha with the talent of opening the Mangekyo. This can also get close to the talents in the plan. After all, the 3rd generation also took a fancy to these people, and Tsunade and the other 2 were even accepted as his apprentices. Moreover, the hang-up system can unconditionally improve the ability. If nothing unexpected happens, as long as it is hung up for a short time, his medical ability can surpass this era. A doctor who can save your life may be the only one who can save you, and a doctor with the best medical skills in the whole ninja world. As long as there is no special reason, no one will offend him, and he will be more respected. Walking on the streets of Konoha, Uchiha Xingliu saw many adults taking their children to the direction of the ninja school. Some children were full of longing, imagining their future ninja career, and excitedly pulled their parents' hands and kept walking forward, but his parents looked at their children with complicated faces, and some parents even changed their minds halfway and took their children away. After all, the casualty rate of ninjas is still very high, especially this ninja war is even more cruel, and 6 out of 10 civilian ninjas died. Moreover, ninjas are also a high-income group. Even if they can only become genin, their monthly income will be much higher than that of civilians. Entering the ninja school and becoming a ninja may be the fastest and fairest way for these civilians to cross the class. So for these parents, they hope that their children can enter the ninja school smoothly, but they are also worried about whether their children will be sacrificed in the future. Uchiha Xingliu followed the flow of people and soon saw a building that made him familiar. The ninja school appeared in front of him. The ninja school at this time was no different from the later generations. On the red gate, a big word ninja was hung on it, and next to it was a sign. Retracting his gaze, Uchiha Xingliu slowly walked into the ninja school. As soon as he walked in, he could see a ninja in Konoha uniform, registering the children who came to register, and next to him, there was also a ninja who was maintaining order and reminding loudly. Go faster, the registered children should go to the playground inside to wait for the assessment. and parents should not go in. Uchiha Xingliu wore the Uchiha clan emblem, so he naturally would not register with these civilians. His name had been registered in the clan and sent to the ninja school. Now as long as he passed the assessment, he would be divided into classes, which was also a small privilege of the ninja clan. Following the direction pointed by the ninja who maintained order, Uchiha Xingliu came to the playground to prepare for the assessment. Hundreds of children gathered together on the playground, and the chattering sound broke the sky. Although there were many people and it was very chaotic, Uchiha Xingliu still recognized Tsunade at a glance in the noisy crowd. Next to Tsunade, there were several children from the Senju clan gathered together. They were talking and laughing, not taking the assessment seriously at all. After all, the entrance examination was nothing more than a physical fitness test, or a test of how fast the chakra could be condensed. For the ninja clan, especially the Senju clan, there would definitely be no lack of physical fitness. Even if they had not learned chakra guidance, they had heard of it. If they really had no talent, they would be screened out at birth. Not far from them, Jiraiya and Orochimaru were also waiting for the test. The three of them did not know each other at this time, but in the future, they would be bound to each other and become close friends. In the end, the three of them would go on different paths because of their different ideas. But this time with Uchiha Xingliu, there might be a different ending. Just when Uchiha Xingliu was still looking for someone familiar, a loud whistle made him look over unconsciously. I saw a ninja with a scar on his face holding a whistle, walking here with a terrifying look. Stop arguing, the test is officially starting now. Gather now, form a team of 50 people to participate in the physical fitness test. Whoever is arguing will be removed and disqualified from the test. The terrifying face and threatening tone made the playground quiet immediately, and some people unconsciously began to follow the instructions. Those children from the ninja clan were naturally not afraid, but there was no need to cause trouble, so they also consciously cooperated. After a while, the playground, which was just in a mess, became quiet, and the crowd automatically divided into teams of 50 people. Seeing this scene, the scarred ninja relaxed his expression, but still had a stern face. My name is Doki Satoshi, and I am the examiner of your physical test today. Now stand next to me and go to the track to start the test. He waved his hand and motioned for people to follow him. Let me tell you the standards. The basic qualification for admission is to run 10 laps in 10 minutes. Secondly, the faster you run, the higher the score will be, and the better the class will be. Let's start. After completing the physical test, remember to go to the room behind me to participate in the chakra extraction test. It's quite simple, not difficult. But if you want to be in the same class with Tsunade, you still have to be careful not to hide too much. After listening to the standards of the test, Uchiha Xingliu had a plan in his mind. He would follow the first echelon later, otherwise he would not be able to enter the elite class. Just as he was thinking, a green figure caught his attention, wearing a dark green jumpsuit, shiny hair and shining teeth. Many people looked at him with strange eyes. Uchiha Xingliu also showed a different look, but it was a look of surprise. I didn't expect Might Dai to enroll at this time. He is comparable to the plug-in with his mortal body. 8 gates of ninjutsu. Might and his son are really amazing. Then he saw Might Dai's poor performance. Although he was not at the bottom, he just barely completed the assessment. Uchiha Xingliu was not surprised. Might Dai's talent was not good, otherwise he would not be an all-purpose genin in the future. In the future, he was able to beat the 7 ninja swordsmen to death or escape because of his 20 years of consistent training. However, today is also the first step of the plan. Konoha is really full of talents. We can't let the 3rd generation ruin everything. Then, it was Uchiha Xingliu's turn to test. He stretched his muscles and walked to the runway. Chapter 7. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The sun gradually climbed to the highest point, and the hot sun shone on the ground, making people sweat profusely. As time went by, the test of the ninja school was soon over. As the invigilator announced that the test results had come out, a large group of people squeezed out of the test playground in a noisy manner. Uchiha Xingliu naturally would not rush this time. He waited until everyone had almost dispersed before coming to the bulletin board of the ninja school. At this time, many people had gathered next to the bulletin board. Some people looked excited, while the children who were not on the list looked frustrated. as he expected, his name was on the enrollment list of the Elite Class 1, Jiraiya, Orochimaru, and Tsunade also entered the Elite Class 1, and only Might was in the ordinary class. This result was also in line with his expectations. Although Jiraiya and Orochimaru did not belong to the ninja clan, they were still very talented. Orochimaru needs no further explanation. Although Jiraiya was a tail before signing with Mayaboku Mountain, he was also the tail of the elite class, and he has a lot of chakra, so much that it's ridiculous, otherwise he wouldn't be qualified to practice Sage Mode. He looked at the sky and it was already noon. It was too late to go back and prepare lunch. It happened that he got a lot of compensation from the clan today, so Uchiha Xingliu decided to indulge himself and go to Barbecue Q for a good meal. He rushed to Barbecue Q and opened the door curtain and walked in. As soon as Uchiha Xingliu walked into the store, the boss walked up to him with a smile on his face and ordered for him. The last time he came here to eat, he spent more than a group of people, so the boss would naturally be very happy. Uchiha Xingliu ordered the meal calmly. After all, he spent his own money. If it was free, he would smile. There were many people at Barbecue Q today, and the tables were full. Most of them were people who came to celebrate their children's successful enrollment. At this moment, a young woman with blood-red hair tied in a bun walked into the store with Tsunade. "Grandma, I got into the best class. How are you going to reward me today?" Tsunade jumped to Uzumaki Mito's side. Her happiness was self-evident. Obviously, Tsunade's grandmother, with red hair, this young woman is undoubtedly Uzumaki Mito. Uzumaki Mito squatted down and gently touched Tsunade's head. Looking at the people sitting around, she was a little distressed for a while, then her eyes lit up, and she saw Uchiha Xingliu who was alone, pointing at him and said, "Then I'll introduce a handsome boy to you." After saying that, regardless of Tsunade's awkward expression, she took her to Uchiha Xingliu. "Handsome boy, do you mind sharing a table? Other places are full, how about I treat you this time?" Uchiha Xingliu, who was eating melons, suddenly became numb. Eating melons and becoming melons. After all, if the personalities of Tsunade and Kushina Uzumaki in the future are so fierce, they must have learned from Mito Uzumaki. However, when he heard Mito Uzumaki say that he would treat them, his face suddenly turned from gloomy to sunny, and he smiled cheerfully. "Sure, beautiful big sister and cute little sister." Seeing Uchiha Xingliu smile, Mito Uzumaki always felt that something was wrong, but she was very happy that Uchiha Xingliu called her beautiful sister, so she didn't care too much about this little problem, just treating her to a meal. This street was hers, and she was not interested in money. Pulling the reluctant Tsunade to sit opposite Uchiha Xingliu, Mito Uzumaki asked with some pity, "The handsome boy is also enrolled this year, which class is he in?" She saw that Uchiha Xingliu was so young, and he came here to eat alone. Combined with the war that just ended, it is likely that both parents of this child have died, so Uzumaki Mito naturally wouldn't get into trouble. After living for decades, she still has this wisdom. Uchiha Xingliu was puzzled by Uzumaki Mito's eyes, but still answered her question. "I also enrolled this year and entered the elite class 1. Tsunade was also a little surprised at this time. She didn't expect that Uchiha Xingliu was in the same class as him. Although her friends didn't go to ordinary classes, they were all in the relatively poor elite class too. However, she was still a little unhappy in her heart and said to Uzumaki Mito with a pout, "Grandma, look at the family emblem on him, he is from the Uchiha clan." Hearing this, Uzumaki Mito's expression suddenly changed, and said to Tsunade with a serious face, "This is your fault, Tsunade. I can understand that there are discordant voices in the clan. After all, we have fought with Uchiha for so long. But you can't. You are the granddaughter of Senju Hashirama, and everyone will look at you. Uchiha is also a member of the village. You have to be a member of the village with your body, accept Uchiha as an example, otherwise your great-grandfather's lifelong wish will be ruined." After saying that, Uzumaki Mito turned around and said to Uchiha Xingliu with apology, "I'm sorry, Tsunade is still young, and you may not understand these principles very well. I see that you seem to like this restaurant very much. How about this, you don't have to pay for meals in the future, and the bill will be kept by me." Tsunade, who was standing aside, looked at Uzumaki Mito's serious expression. Although she didn't quite understand the reason, she still apologized to Uchiha Xingliu obediently. "I'm sorry, please forgive my mistake." Looking at the two people, one big and one small, who expressed their apologies to him, Uchiha Xingliu hurriedly said, "It's okay, don't be so serious." These words naturally wouldn't make Uchiha Tsuryu angry, not to mention that he himself was half abandoned by the Uchiha clan. His vision would not be limited by the clan, but he didn't expect Uzumaki Mito to have such a broad mind. Don't look at Uchiha's independence in Konoha, as if he was extremely xenophobic and couldn't integrate well into the village. In fact, the real situation is just the opposite. The village can't accommodate Uchiha, which will lead to a war between Uchiha and Konoha. The original intention of Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara to establish Konoha was to allow every child of the ninja clan to grow up healthily. Senju Hashirama has this ideal, so he will naturally not exclude Uchiha, and under his influence, no one will exclude the Uchiha clan. But later, he and Uchiha Madara went against each other. The battle between the two caused Senju Hashirama to be seriously injured and died soon after. This directly caused Konoha to lose its ability to suppress the ninja world, and indirectly led to the arrival of the war, so Konoha inadvertently excluded the Uchiha clan. This was incompetent anger, but it was also understandable human nature. After all, so many people died in the ninja world war. The lovers, parents or children of these dead people would naturally be angry with others. The anger in the village, the conspiracy of Senju Tobarama and the arrogant character of the Uchiha themselves made this clan incompatible with the village. It was just that Uzumaki Mito, who should be angry with the Uchiha the most, chose to maintain the overall situation. This courage and magnanimity made Uchiha Xingliu look at him with admiration. Chapter 8. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing Uchiha Xingliu accepting the apology, the atmosphere between the three people eased. "Is it true what the beautiful sister just said, that I can come here without spending money in the future?" Uzumaki Mito naturally would not speak without words. She nodded and said, "Of course it is true, but you can't come every day. Eating barbecue every day will make your nutrition unbalanced." This good thing suddenly fell on him, and Uchiha Xingliu was naturally very happy, but he had a plan, and an activity he saw in his previous life immediately made his mind move. Uchiha Xingliu was tangled at first, and after a long while he reluctantly said, "Although the unlimited meal tickets promised to me by the beautiful sister are very tempting, I have a proposal, and I hope you can agree to it." His words aroused the curiosity of Uzumaki Mito. She wanted to know what Uchiha Xingliu's proposal was, so she asked, "What suggestions do you have? Let me hear them and see if they can be realized." "It's like this, although I'm not rich, I can occasionally come to eat barbecue. But the children in the orphanage are not as lucky as me. Why not give this opportunity to the children in the orphanage and donate the money to them?" Hearing this, Uzumaki Mito was stunned for a moment and then moved greatly. Obviously, she didn't expect Uchiha Xingliu to make such a suggestion. "How did you come up with this proposal? What made you have this idea?" Although she was very moved, Uzumaki Mito was still a little confused. How could such a young child have such an idea? Uchiha Tsuryu had thought of the explanation early on. When he saw Uzumaki Mito asking this, he said with a sad face, "After my parents passed away some time ago, I actually wanted to go to the orphanage for a while. But when I really went to the orphanage and learned about it, I didn't have this idea anymore. Life there is not good. The shortage of supplies makes the children there malnourished and look skinny. No one has a smile on their face. The whole orphanage is full of a depressing atmosphere, which makes me feel very uncomfortable, so I didn't go there. I thought that if I could get the people in the orphanage to have a meal together and have fun, maybe it would improve the depressing atmosphere there, and also let the children eat something good to improve their nutrition. I have experienced the pain of losing my relatives myself, so I can understand the difficulties of those orphans. It is pitiful to have no relatives, and suffering cannot always befall a person, so I came up with such an idea." Hearing this, Uzumaki Mito could no longer hold back his emotions, and stood up and stared at Uchiha Tsuryu. Tsunade on the side also looked at him silently, feeling a little guilty for her prejudice just now. After a while, Uzumaki Mito, who was watching him, walked to his side. She touched Uchiha Xingliu's head with a kind smile on her face. What a good child, your proposal is accepted by your sister. And the things I just promised to give you will not be less, so come and eat with confidence in the future, this is what you deserve. At this time, Uzumaki Mito was really moved. Uchiha Xingliu's proposal gave her a different idea. She originally just had no empty seats, and Uchiha Xingliu's appearance was very lovable, so she came to share a table to eat together, but she didn't expect to meet such a unique and kind Uchiha here. He is just a child who has just entered school, and his parents are gone, so the conditions at home must not be very rich. Even in this predicament, he can still give his kindness to strangers, which is something that only very few people can do anywhere. It is precisely the truth, kindness and beauty of these few people that can most move people's hearts and move people. Even Uzumaki Mito, a woman who has experienced war, fell under this beautiful humanity. If Uchiha Tsurаю had not made this proposal, the three of them might have been familiar strangers after dinner, but after this proposal came out, Uzumaki Mito even wanted Uchiha Tsurаю to be her grandson. For a while, Uzumaki Mito looked at Uchiha Tsurаю with a wrong look in his eyes, and he liked him more and more. At this time, the dishes ordered by Uchiha Tsurаю were also served. The waiters came and went, and dishes were served to the table one by one. As more and more barbecues were served, Uzumaki Mito and Tsunade became curious. When the last dish was served, the whole table was covered with barbecue. The barbecue on the table was full of tempting aroma, and the crystal-clear fruit platter made people want to take a bite. Tsunade saw so many dishes in front of her, which made her swallow water. Some cannot help but wonder if Uchiha Xingliu can finish it, so he asked. Can you finish so much you ordered? Do you want me to help you eat some? Waste is not a good behavior. Hearing this, Uchiha Xingliu said calmly what surprised the two. Don't get me wrong, these are all ordered by me alone. I have a big appetite, so I can finish them. Then he looked at Tsunade, and then said. But if you want to eat, you can eat together. Tsunade was a little embarrassed when her little thoughts were exposed, but watching the food in front of her disappear quickly in Uchiha Xingliu's mouth, she put aside her embarrassment and joined the battlefield of grabbing food. Uzumaki Mito was also a little surprised when she saw Uchiha Xingliu quickly finishing the food. He ate so much. Could it be that the boy in front of him actually has the blood of the Akimichi family? But watching the scene of the two children fighting, she couldn't help but lose her mind. Looking at the family emblem of Uchiha Xingliu and the smile on Tsunade's face, she seemed to have thought of something. After a long while, Uzumaki Mito came back to her senses, and then said to Tsunade, who was competing with Uchiha Xingliu for barbecue. Little Tsunade, why don't you let me adopt this child and let him live with us? Uzumaki Mito's purpose in saying this is very simple. She wants to adopt the orphan of Uchiha and send out the signal of accepting Uchiha through her own behavior, so that the village will no longer reject the Uchiha clan. As for why this person is Uchiha Xingliu, on the one hand, it is because of the proposal just now that Uzumaki Mito feels that he is very kind and a different Uchiha. On the other hand, it is also because he does not care what kind of talent the adopted child has. Even if he does not have a good ninja talent, he is just raising an idle person. It is not important who the adopted Uchiha orphan is. The attitude released by the adoption is the most important, so choose one that you like and it will be more in line with your own wishes. Chapter 9. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tsunade was fighting with Uchiha Tsurаю for food, and she was obviously a little unresponsive after hearing Mito's words. She was still young, so she naturally didn't understand the meaning of Uzumaki Mito's actions, but she thought about how she had just misunderstood Uchiha Tsurayu's words and the kindness he showed. Then she turned her head and looked at Uchiha Tsurayu's delicate features and sunny smile. For a moment, it seemed that she had misunderstood something, and Tsunade blushed and put down the barbecue she had just fought for. She sat back in her original position, blushing and muttering. I don't have any opinions, but I still have to ask the person involved about this matter. Uzumaki Mito had seen everything in her life, and she knew that Tsunade had misunderstood when she saw her actions. Her words just now might have made Tsunade think that Uchiha Tsuraju was a child foster, so she reacted like this. This made her sigh in her heart for a while. Do such young children understand so much now? However, she did not expose Tsunade's little thoughts, but looked at Uchiha Xingliu and said. Little Tsunade is right, I neglected the opinions of the parties involved. Then, little Xingliu, are you willing to come to me? Uzumaki Mito's sudden invitation surprised Uchiha Xingliu a little, and then he realized that Uzumaki Mito's invitation was not just because he liked him, but might have other intentions. As a few people who just met, how could they adopt him for no reason? This move undoubtedly contains deep meaning. Although Uchiha Xingliu is sometimes lazy, it does not mean that he is stupid. There is not much description of this period in the original plot, so he does not guarantee whether there is such a lucky person in the past, but now that this good thing has fallen on his head, just agree directly. As long as he agrees to Uzumaki Mito's invitation, it will be beneficial to his future ideals or plans. So Uzumaki Mito's invitation was a bit sudden, but Uchiha Xingliu gave his answer after thinking for a while. But we just met and don't even know each other's names. Uzumaki Mito said apologetically. It's okay, I like you very much. It's not too late to tell me your name now. My name is Senju Mito, and the one next to me is my granddaughter. What's your name? Uzumaki Mito looked at Uchiha Xingliu expectantly, waiting for him to give the final answer. My name is Uchiha Xingliu, I'm Uchiha, can you really adopt me? Uzumaki Mito looked at Uchiha Xingliu's slightly expectant eyes and nodded with a smile. Seeing Uzumaki Mito nod, Uchiha Xingliu happily shouted to Tsunade, who was still shy. Great, then let's get along well in the future. Tsunade was stunned for a moment when she looked at the boy who seemed to be shining in front of her. She was still young and didn't understand what love was, but now looking at Uchiha Xingliu's happy smile, she would also feel very happy. Yeah, so Tsunade smiled widely and gave a positive answer. Uzumaki Mito, who was standing by, smiled like an auntie, watching the interaction between the two children. This reminded her of her relationship with Hashirama Senju, although the two met through a blind date and were already very old when they met, but Hashirama Senju was as silly as a child, and she was the one who took the initiative in everything. Whether it was dating or getting married, she took the initiative, and Hashirama Senju was as silly as a piece of wood. Today's Uzumaki Mito always thinks back to the past. When people get old, they always recall some beautiful memories of their youth, and even Uzumaki Mito is no exception. She touched the foreheads of the two children and whispered in a doting tone. Okay, this is a public place, don't make such a fuss. Even Uchiha Tsuryu blushed a little. After all, his soul is not that of a child. It's understandable that Tsunade is so childish, but he actually made a fuss with Tsunade. But then Uchiha Xingliu put the blame on his body, saying that it must be the hormones in his body that affected him, making him a little childish. In order to save some face, or not to embarrass himself alone, he asked innocently. By the way, my sister seemed to have said that she was Tsunade's grandmother, so how old is my sister this year? As soon as he finished speaking, Uchiha Xingliu felt a cold current blowing across his skin, giving him goosebumps. He looked stiffly at Uzumaki Mito, who had just smiled. Although she was still smiling at this moment, she was chilling. The whole person seemed to be immersed in the shadows, and his eyes also revealed boundless murderous intent. When Uchiha Xingliu finished speaking, Tsunade slipped away on the pretext of going to the toilet. At this time, the helpless Uchiha Xingliu had to pretend to be calm, swallowed his saliva and said, I just said it wrong. I wanted to ask if I could call you Sister Mito in the future. After hearing this, Uzumaki Mito's rainstorm turned to clear, and she returned to her amiable appearance just now. The murderous aura and shadow just now disappeared like an illusion, and for a moment, Uchiha Xingliu seemed to be brighter than the sun. You can call me Sister Mito, and you can call me and Tsunade separately. Also, don't be so careless when talking in the future. Uchiha Xingliu breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that he had escaped a disaster. It seems that no matter which world she is in, a woman's age is a taboo for her. At this moment, Tsunade ran back from somewhere, and after taking a look at Uzumaki Mito's current state, she also breathed a sigh of relief. Then she continued to eat barbecue as if nothing had happened, and Uchiha Xingliu, who was sitting next to her, was very angry. He didn't expect Tsunade to be so cunning, disappearing when something happened, and he didn't even see how she slipped away, and she was so skilled in the business that he knew it was not the first time this happened. This also gave him some bad premonitions about his future life with Uzumaki Mito, but he couldn't afford to offend Uzumaki Mito. How could a little Tsunade turn the world upside down? It happened that his stomach was also very hungry, so Uchiha Xingliu began to retaliate against Tsunade for food. For a while, the shadows of chopsticks flew on the table, the amount of barbecue decreased rapidly, and the two of them were evenly matched, but the two dared not touch the barbecue in front of Uzumaki Mito's table, and it seemed that they would not play too hard and offend the big boss. Time gradually passed in this playful atmosphere, and as more and more people left the barbecue queue. The war between Tsunade and Uchiha Xingliu also ended. At this time, Tsunade was holding a big belly, obviously unwilling to lose to Uchiha Xingliu's hard-working result. She looked at Uchiha Xingliu's flat belly with an unwilling look. Although she had expected it, she was still a little frustrated that she lost to Uchiha Xingliu in eating. Chapter 10. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After all, Tsunade is still a child, so it is normal for her to care about winning or losing in such things. Uchiha Xingliu was aroused by Tsunade, so he cooperated with Tsunade to complete this competition between children. Looking at Tsunade lying on the chair with her belly touched, Uchiha Xingliu gave her the final blow. Well, just eat 70% full, you can't digest too much. After saying that, Uchiha Xingliu gave Tsunade a look to let her understand, and then said to Uzumaki Mito. Mito sister, I can't go to your place today, I still have a lot of things to sort out at home. So, I think I can go the day after tomorrow. Uzumaki Mito would naturally not disagree with this reasonable suggestion, and her decision was so hasty. Senju's house only had rooms for guests, leaving a day for buffer. You can also sort out a room for Uchiha Xingliu. Sure, I'll pick you up the day after tomorrow morning to go through the formalities at the Hokage building. Uchiha Xingliu stood up and bowed solemnly, then said with bright eyes. Thank you for adopting me. I will repay you no matter what. Uzumaki Mito smiled slightly, helped Uchiha Xingliu, who was bending over, up, and then said to him. It's okay. It would be my honor to adopt such a kind child like you. Looking at the woman in front of him, Uchiha Xingliu knew that she didn't understand what he meant. In fact, there were other meanings in Uchiha Xingliu's words, but she didn't hear them because of the unequal information. Uchiha Xingliu knew that Uzumaki Mito had other purposes for adopting him, but he didn't care, because adopting him did bring him benefits. A gentleman judges by deeds, not by heart. There is no perfect person in the world. This world depends on how people do things, not on the purpose of their doing so. Although some people judge by results, Uchiha Xingliu lives according to this bottom line. Although his proposal just now meant to use the orphanage, the result was that he allowed the orphanage to eat barbecue twice more every month. No matter what Uchiha Tsurаю calculated in his heart, the result of his plan was good, unlike the future Nabekage and Sandame, who said that they were doing it for Konoha, but in fact, none of the things they did were beneficial to Konoha. If Konoha had not had a deep foundation, it would have been destroyed by them long ago, and Uzumaki Mito's adoption of Uchiha Tsurаю brought him real benefits. For example, with Uzumaki Mito's protection in the future, his original plan could be changed. His autoplay system still needs time to develop. With Danzo's hatred for Uchiha, if he shows a strong talent, maybe he will be secretly killed by Danzo in the name of the village before he grows up. In that case, no matter how glorious Uchiha Tsuraju will be in the future, it will be nothing but a passing cloud and will be shattered at the touch of a finger. So his original plan was to become a ninja with only medical talent, and then implement the radical part of the plan when he could protect himself, but now it is different. Uzumaki Mito will formally adopt him and provide him with an umbrella of protection. With this umbrella of protection, he will have enough time for his early growth, so that he can carry out the plan earlier. So the repayment mentioned by Uchiha Tsuraju is definitely not empty words. He will protect the Uzumaki clan in the future. This can be regarded as repaying Uzumaki Mito's kindness at this time. He is not the kind of person who only talks but does not do. After calling the boss to pay the bill, regardless of the boss's flattering smile, Uzumaki Mito took Tsunade and Uchiha Tsuraju out of the barbecue queue. The cold wind blew slightly, making the three people who had just eaten barbecue and felt a little stuffy look comfortable. Uzumaki Mito let go of the hand holding Uchiha Tsuraju and slowly walked to him with Tsunade. Then it's settled. I'll come back to pick you up the day after tomorrow morning. Remember not to oversleep. Little Tsunade and I are leaving. Be careful when you go back alone. Got it. Uchiha Xingliu nodded and waved at the two of them. I know. Don't worry, sister. This place is very close to my home. Then the three of them headed for home. Soon Uchiha Xingliu saw his house. When Uchiha Xingliu walked to the door, a pile of books were neatly placed in front of the door. There was also a letter on it. Uchiha Xingliu picked it up and read it carefully. I knocked on the door for a long time. No one opened the door, so I knew you hadn't come back yet, so I put the medical books at your door. Remember to read them well. Uchiha Xingliu thought it was a very short letter. Uchiha Xingliu actually read it before he finished reading it. That I knew who wrote it before. After all, there are so many books in front of me, and there is no one else except Uchiha Xien who promised me. After carrying these books, Uchiha Xingliu opened the door and walked back to his home. After arranging these medical knowledge in order, Uchiha Xingliu recalled what happened today. First, he was told to go to the ninja school, and met the 3 ninjas and might die when they were young in the ninja school, and finally he was adopted by Uzumaki Mido in a dramatic way. It was really one scene after another, and it was in line with the old saying, plans can't keep up with changes. The original plan to slowly approach Tsunade and others after entering the ninja school was announced to be over before it even started. Now I have to think about what to do next. Medical knowledge still needs to be learned, and then the level will be raised through the hang-up system, but one's own strength is also very important, and there must always be a place for the ability to improve strength. For a while, he was a little distressed. 2 hang-up positions were really not enough. I don't know when the system will unlock a new hang-up bar. However, he now has a guess, whether the skill of Uchiha bloodline already includes Sharingan, and whether it will be repeated if it is hung up like this. Uchiha bloodline is now at green level, and it is likely to be Indra bloodline or incomplete 6 paths bloodline when it is upgraded to blue. Uchiha Xingliu remembered that the Mangekyo opened by Indra was eternal at the beginning, and even before the Mangekyo was opened, the 3 Magatama could use the power of God Susanoo, so if the Uchiha bloodline is upgraded, will it directly lead to the upgrade of Sharingan? If it is really as Uchiha Xingliu thought, he can save an idle bar to alleviate his current situation of insufficient skill bar, but this matter still needs to be experimented. So Uchiha Xingliu opened the system and put the 1 Magatama Sharingan, green, on the idle bar. Then he put the ability of Fire Style, Great Fireball Technique, green, on the idle bar, and he wanted to verify his guess with actual actions.